Hello everyone, you are watching Naresh IAS Academy YouTube channel. Now I am going to discuss complete Indian geography through a single video in brief. We have already discussed different subjects like history under the ancient Indian history, medieval Indian history, modern Indian history through a single video in both Hindi and English medium, and we have targeted all the subjects like the Indian economy, constitution and polity, general science and the static GK. This is my effort to provide concrete and accurate information for you so that you can clear all the exams except the UPSC. What kind of questions or informations are required today? These information we have inserted in our videos. So this is our first introductory class about the Indian geography. Now the Indian geography, you know, the official name of our country is India, and India, that is Bharat. It is a phrase under the Indian constitution. So first we will see what is the position of India at globe. The position of India at globe and the geological position of India, then the geographical area, or in the last the geographical extent of India. We will discuss these all aspects through a Indian map. Through map we can locate important information sites to make these information more scientific, and these are easily understandable or we can grasp easily. First, the position of India at globe. You know, there are some hypothetical lines are called latitude lines and the longitude lines. Latitude are always drawn from the east to west, and the longitude lines are drawn always from the north to south. The India lies in a northern and the eastern hemisphere. So then India at globe lies in the northern and eastern hemisphere, and India geographically is the 7th largest country in the world, and India has 2.4% of total geographical area of the world, and these are countries bigger than India: Russia, Canada, China, America, Brazil and Australia. The geographical area of India is around 32,87,263 kilometer square, and India is considered a part of the Gondwana land. It is the geological position. The India has formed after the breaking of Gondwana land according to the plate tectonic theory. And what is the geographical extent? The extent from the north to south and east to west. Through the map we can locate, this is the northernmost point of India, and it is called the Indira Col. Indira Col, Col means gap or lowest point between the two mountains. Indira Col in Jammu Kashmir at the eastern expansion of Siachen Glacier in Ladakh region. In 1912, by the suggestion of American cartographer Bullock Berkman. It was declared as the northernmost point by the British government. So then Indira Cone is the northernmost point of India, and this indicates the highest expansion in the north direction in Jammu Kashmir. And the southernmost tip, this is the Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, the southernmost tip. And in the eastern direction, this is the easternmost point in Arunachal Pradesh, Kibithu. However, there is a dispute between India and China because it is the last village of India at the Chinese border, easternmost point. And the westernmost point, this is in Gujarat, Rann of Kutch, the Gaur Mata, the westernmost point. And the distance between north to south, it is about 3214 kilometer, while the distance from east to west is around 2933 kilometer. So this is the geographical expansion or the extreme points of India, north, south, east and west. There is one more additional information here. This is the geographical position of Andaman and the Nicobar Island. We have discussed this Kanyakumari as the southernmost tip, but the southernmost point is in the Great Nicobar, the Nicobar Island. This is the Indira Point. Here, this is the Indira Point, India's southernmost point at the latitude of 6 degree and 4 minute. The Indira Point, named after the former Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, during the 1984, and it is also called the Parson Point and Pygmalion points too. And the next part is the latitude and longitude position of India. The latitude position or the longitudinal position of India. Through the map, we can locate these lines and can draw an exact position of India. This is the Indian map. Latitude lines we have already discussed. These are the lines are drawn always from the east to west at the globe. These are the latitude lines, and the latitude expansion of India is 0 degree equator line passes from the south of India. This is the 0 degree equator line passes from the south of India, and India is 8 degree 4 minute above from the 0 degree equator line. So this is the India's lowest or the southern latitude, and from southern latitude the northern latitude in Jammu Kashmir, this is 37 degree and the 6 minute. India's latitude expansion is 8 degree 4 minute to 37 degree 6 minute, and between the both latitude this is the difference about 29 degree. And what is the longitude expansion of India? You know, longitude lines are always drawn from the north to south. These are the longitude lines, and the westernmost expansion of India, this is the westernmost longitude line and it is about 68 degree and the 7 minute, and the easternmost longitude expansion of India is 97 degree 25 minute, and the difference between the both longitude expansion about the 29 degree, which is almost same, the difference between two latitudes and difference between the two longitudes. And the next information is the position of Tropic of Cancer and Indian Standard Time. The Tropic of Cancer or the Kark Rekha and the Indian Standard Time, also called the local time of India, in short IST, Indian Standard Time. Through the map we can locate this. The entire globe is divided into the different longitude line to determine the time zones. Basically, Tropic of Cancer is a latitude line. Tropic of Cancer is a latitude line which passes in the north of equator line. This is the equator line which divide the globe in the equal part north and south, and this is the 23.5 degree latitude, which is called the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere. The line passes through India from the 8 states: Gujarat, South Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, then Jharkhand, West Bengal, Tripura and Mizoram. The Mizoram is the last state or Gujarat is the first state. So this question is generally asked. There are the 8 states from where Tropic of Cancer passes, right? And what is the Indian Standard Time? Indian Standard Time IST is a 82.5 degree longitude line, and which passes from the 5 states of India: Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. So then this is the IST, Indian Standard Timeline, and this is the Tropic of Cancer. And the one more question you must know: at which point Tropic of Cancer or Indian Standard Timeline intersect to each other? This is the Korea district in Chhattisgarh. Important question. Second question is, the Indian Standard Timeline passes very close to the Mirzapur district of Uttar Pradesh. Earlier it was very close to the Allahabad district near the Naini place, but now Mirzapur has become a separate district. The third important question is, Indian Standard Time is ahead of 5 hours and 30 minutes. You know, at the globe you can see this is the 0 degree GMT line, Greenwich Mean Time, which passes from the Greenwich city of London, and India stands in the northern and eastern hemisphere. This is the position of India at the globe, northern and eastern hemisphere. So the Indian Standard Time is 5 hours and 30 minutes ahead. How can we drive this? The 1 degree latitude is equal to 4 minutes, and India's one longitude is equal to 4 minutes, and India's standard timeline is 82.5 degree longitude. If we multiply the 4 minutes with these 82.5 degree longitude, then we drive generally 330 minutes, and 330 minutes we can write 5 hours and the 30 minutes. So it is proved India's standard time is ahead 5 hours 30 minutes from the 0 degree GMT line. The next part is India's borders. India's borders or the front of India. India has the two kinds of borders, the land borders, स्थलीय सीमाएं, and the maritime borders, समुद्री सीमाएं. Through the map we can locate these borders. India has different kinds of borders line with the neighboring countries at the land part and in the sea, because India has ocean from the 3 direction. So India is a rich and sometime it has become a great challenge to country. Land borders first. The total fronts of India, the total front which is seeing directly, it is about, including the land borders, the land borders is around 15,200 kilometer long, and the maritime borders is around 7,516.6 किलोमीटर. तो दोनों को अगर जोड़ देंगे तो ये इंडिया का टोटल फ्रंट हमारे पास आ जाएगा. तो देन द लैंड बॉर्डर्स, important land borders of India's. India has the largest land border with the Bangladesh. India makes about 4,096 kilometer long border with the Bangladesh. So this is the position of the Bangladesh country, you know, and India has the longest border with the Bangladesh. Second, India's land border with the China, and it is called the McMahon line. The McMahon line, it was drawn in 1914. There is a dispute between India and China at this border, which is called the McMahon line. Basically, China have objected the line was drawn more in the inside of China by the British government. However, India has denied all the claims of China. So this is the McMahon border between India and China. Third is India's land border with the Pakistan. This border is called the Radcliffe line. Radcliffe line. It was drawn in 1947 after the independence or partition of India. Cyril Radcliffe was the British official and who drawn this border in the both Punjab region and the Bengal region. Basically, Radcliffe line is drawn between the Punjab and the Kashmir valley, not cover the complete Jammu Kashmir, and Radcliffe line is also disputed between India and Pakistan. Fourth, India's land border with the Afghanistan. Before the 1947, when India was united, it was called the Durand line. Durand line drawn 1893 or implemented, came into existence from the 1894. But when India was partitioned and this became the Pakistan, so the Durand line now exists between the Pakistan and Afghanistan. There is no official land border between India and Pakistan. Only Afghanistan touch India from the top in Jammu Kashmir, but which is now under the Pak occupied Kashmir in the POK region. Then important question, India has longest border with Bangladesh or India has shortest border with Afghanistan, which is about 106 km only, but which is now in the Pak occupied Kashmir. Okay, one more question, when we discuss through the latitude expansion, so this is the 24 degree the latitude expansion or the 24 parallels. It is a official line between India and Pakistan which determines border in the Rann of Kutch. And India has so many and again India also has land border with the Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Burma. So then Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram, 4 states has common border with the Myanmar. And in the maritime side, India has maritime border with the Maldives, this is the Maldives country, and the Sri Lanka, important border with the Sri Lanka. There are so many disputes between India and Sri Lanka. This is the Pak Strait which separates the Bay of Bengal. This is the Bay of Bengal, Bengal ki Khadi, and this is the Gulf of Mannar, and the Pak Strait separates the Bay of Bengal and the Gulf of Mannar. And here this is the Ram Setu and the Adams Bridge, important places between India and Sri Lanka. Also in the Marshy Land or Arabian Sea, this is a disputed point between India and Pakistan, the Sar Creek. Creek is a marshy land, narrow marshy land. The Sar Creek is disputed between India and Pakistan, and Sar Creek is very close to the delta of Indus River, and Sar Creek is the westernmost point of Gujarat, and Kori Creek is the easternmost point of India in the sea from the Pakistan side, but Kori Creek is entirely within the India. India has maritime border with the Myanmar. Myanmar touch India in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Here this is the Coco Island. Coco Island are under the authority of Myanmar. Andaman Nicobar have their land borders with the Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and these Southeast Asian nations. So this is the India's border lines, and India has superimposed border lines with the Pakistan and Bangladesh mainly. The superimposed borders are artificially created, they have neglected the cultural and social significance. Now the physical division of India. India physically divided into the different subdivisions. This is the next part, physical division of India. One is the Himalaya mountains, second is the Deccan Plateau, third is islands, Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep, fourth is Ghat, Western Ghats and Eastern Ghat, fifth is coastal plain, Western coast or the Eastern coast, sixth is Great Plains or the Northern Plains, or seven is the Thar Desert. India is divided under the following physical divisions. Okay, now first we will discuss about the Himalayas, and here map of India is become more important. So we will draw the Indian map and we will locate the different positions of the Himalayas. Now some important information about the Himalayas in very short through a question answer form. Himalayas is called the new folded mountain. One important question. Himalaya is a new and the folded mountain and newest and the youngest mountain in the India, while Aravalli mountain is the oldest mountains and these are the residual mountains in India. One question. Second is Himalaya mainly has formed through the tectonic activities. Under the tectonic activities, Indian plates collides with the Eurasian plates and through which the debris of Tethys Sea converted into the Himalayas. Third is Himalaya is mainly considered the formation of Holocene period or which is about the 10,000 years ago. And next is Himalaya has 2400 kilometer length. The total length of Himalaya is 2400 kilometer and the width of Himalaya is more in the western side than the eastern sides. And now the division of Himalayas. Himalaya is studied under the two division. One is the division according to the formation or second is according to their physical features. Here through the map, Himalaya extended from the Pakistan to Arunachal Pradesh or sometime the Myanmar, the Burma. This is the position of Himalayas and which is extended about 2400 kilometer long. So according to formation, the uppermost part of the Himalaya is called the Trans Himalaya. The Trans Himalaya, the uppermost part, mainly lies in the Tibet and extended from Tibet to Ladakh, China, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Trans Himalaya is the newest and the youngest part of Himalaya which have formed in the last. Okay. And there are some mountain range in the Trans Himalaya. This is the Karakoram mountain range in the best of Trans Himalaya. Karakoram has about the 500 kilometer long range and which is mostly lies in the Pakistan. And the eastern part of Karakoram ends at the border of India and China. This is the Karakoram Pass, provides connectivity between India and China. There are so many important peaks in the Karakoram mountain range. K2, also called the Godwin Austen. K2 about the 8611 meters high. Gasser Brum, Masser Brum and the Broad Peaks. And also there are some important glaciers in the Trans Himalaya and in the Karakoram. The Karakoram contains the Biafo glacier. Biafo glacier which is the third largest in the world, about 67 kilometer long. Again Saltoro and the Valtoro glaciers in the Karakoram, and in the eastern sides of Karakoram this is the Siachen glacier. Siachen acquired India in 1984 through the Operation Meghdoot and most of part of Siachen is controlled by the India, and here it is the India's northernmost point, Indira Col. The length of Siachen glacier is assumed about 76 kilometer. It is the India's first but second longest in the world, and the The longest glacier in the world is, this is the Fedchenko above the India in the Tajikistan country, which is about 77 kilometer long. Okay, so this is the position of Siachen glacier, and above the Siachen glacier, this is the part of Aksai Chin controlled by the China. So then you must know the Karakoram Pass connected India and China. Siachen glacier mostly is under the India, and this is the Indira Col ahead of the Siachen glacier and the position of Aksai Chin. Next, in the south of Trans Himalaya, this is the Great Himalaya, also called the Himadri, and it is extended parallel to the Trans Himalaya, and most of the mountain peaks are lies in the Great Himalaya. Mount Everest, Nanda Devi, Kanchenjunga, Dhaulagiri, Annapurna, most of important or the highest peak are the part of the Great Himalayas, right? In the south of Great Himalayas, this is the Lesser Himalayas, also called the Lower Himalayas or Inner Himalayas or Himachal Himalayas. Great Himalaya was formed in the earliest time, while the Trans Himalaya have formed in the last. The Great Himalaya according to formation was formed in the first and Trans Himalaya in the last. Lesser Himalaya have formed after the Great Himalaya, and there are important range in the Lesser Himalayas are Dhauladhar, Mahabharat and the Pir Panjal range, and this is the outermost part of the Himalaya is the Shivalik. So Shivalik is the outermost part, and this is the southernmost part of the Himalaya have formed after the Lesser Himalayas. So according to north to south sequence and according to their formation, two kinds of questions generally are asked. The next division of Himalayas according to their physical features or position of the rivers. So between the Indus river and the Satluj river, this Himalaya is called the Punjab Himalaya and the Kashmir Himalaya. The Indus river and Satluj river form the region of Punjab Himalaya. Between the Satluj river to the Kali river in Uttarakhand, it is called the Kumayu Himalaya. Kumayu is a region in Uttarakhand, and between the Kali river and Tista river in Sikkim, Tista and Sikkim, this is the Nepal Himalaya, and between the Tista river of Sikkim and the Brahmaputra river in Arunachal Pradesh, it is called the Assam Himalaya. Okay, these are the four divisions of Himalayas. Assam Himalaya between the Tista river and Brahmaputra river, you can see this is the Nepal Himalaya between the Kali river and Tista river, and this is the Kumayu Himalaya between the Kali river and Satluj river, and this is the Punjab or Kashmir Himalaya between Satluj and the Indus river. And there are important peaks and some passes into the Himalaya. The highest peak in the world is, this is the Mount Everest, now in the Nepal Himalaya, the Everest. Everest was named after the George Everest of the British official, and you know the calculation of height of Mount Everest by the Bengali or the Indian mathematician Radhanath Sikdar in 1852. So Radhanath Sikdar first measured or calculated the height of Mount Everest in 1852, and it is about 8,848 to sometime the 50 meters. But Everest entirely lies in the Nepal, and the second highest peak, which is the K2, K2 lies in the Pakistan, also called the Godwin Austen, and the India's highest peak is the Kanchenjunga, but Kanchenjunga not entirely within the Indian territory. The Kanchenjunga extended in Indian territory Sikkim state to the Nepal, and it has height of 8,685 meter, 8,586 meters, and which is the peak entirely lies within the Indian territory. This is the Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand, Nanda Devi, and this is the India's highest peak, and height is 7,816 meters. Okay, these are the important peaks. There are two bands or anchors of Himalaya. The westernmost part of the Himalaya is considered from the Nanga Parbat in Pakistan, and which is also called the western anchor, or the eastern expansion of Himalaya is up to the Namcha Barba. Namcha Barba is a mountain range or group of the mountains extended from Tibet to Arunachal Pradesh in India, and Namcha Barba is a peak which is lies in the Tibet. So this is the expansion between the two anchors of Himalayas. Important passes दर्रे हिमालय रीजन में कौन कौन से हैं? फर्स्ट, फ्रॉम द ईस्टर्न साइड, दिस इज द तुजू पास इन द मणिपुर स्टेट, connects Manipur to the Myanmar, and there are some passes in the Arunachal Pradesh, Difu, Likhapani, Bomidila and Bumla. The four important passes in the Sikkim states. The India's most important pass is the Nathula. La means pass, passage या pass in the Sikkim, connects Sikkim or India to the Tibet, and in the south of Nathula this is the Jelep La in Sikkim, which connects Sikkim to the Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. The two important passes. Nathula has opened in 2006 after the first India-China war in 1962. It was closed by the China and it was reopened in 2006. The passes of Uttarakhand are, this is the Lipu Lake passes in the Uttarakhand, connects Uttarakhand to the Tibet, and also Mana Pass, Niti Pass in Uttarakhand. And in Himachal Pradesh, this is the very most important pass in the Himachal Pradesh, and this is the Sipki La in Himachal Pradesh, which connects Himachal Pradesh to the Tibet. And there are so many passes in Himachal Pradesh. And in Jammu Kashmir, most of passes are found in the Jammu Kashmir. Jojila, Banihal, Khardungla, Thangla, Mangsa, Madhar, so many passes lie in the Jammu and Kashmir. So this is the description of Himalayas. The next topic is physical division of India. We have already discussed the physical features of Himalaya mountain. Now this is the next part. Now we will discuss the Great Plains. Great Plains are also called the Northern Plains, and the different plateaus and the coastal plains, a coastal region of India. देखिए, through the map we will describe these physical features. Great Plains, also called the Northern Plains, and they are formed by the river depositions, mainly the rivers like the Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus rivers. They have deposited too much debris in the different areas where they were formed as a plains. The Great Plains are the formation of river deposit, point 1, and Great Plains have the largest geographical area in the India. They have extended at the maximum geographical of area. Whenever we discuss about the river position in India, all the rivers have created such plains, but mostly these plains are famous regarding the northern India, created by the Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Chambal and the so many small rivers. However, there are some river deposits plains in the southern India too. One more important question is the land between the two rivers is called the Doab. Doab means a land between the two rivers. This is the Doab, and here there are some technical names of these Doab. Now we must know. This is the Indus River, originates outside India and flow through the Jammu Kashmir and finally in Pakistan. And there are the 5 tributaries from the left side or from the south side. The Jhelum River, I am indicating Jhelum from J, then the Chenab River C, then Ravi River R, then Vyas River V, or again the Satluj River S. There are the 5 tributaries of Indus River from the left or the south. There is a specific name of the plains between the Indus River and Jhelum River. The Doab region is called the Sagar Doab. Okay, Sagar Doab between the Indus and Jhelum, and Doab region between the Jhelum and Chenab, it is called the Rechna. The Rechna Doab, and the Doab between Chenab and Ravi River, it is called the Chaj Doab, and the Doab between the Ravi and Vyas, it is called the Bist Doab, and the Doab between the Vyas and Satluj River is called the Bari, Bari Doab. And now there are some plateaus in India, plateaus and some mountains. We will include all the plateaus and mountains. This is the Aravalli mountain range, extended from southwest to the northeast, starting from the Gujarat and mainly extended in the Rajasthan and ended up to the Delhi. The President House is situated on the Raisina Hills. Raisina Hills is a part of Aravalli mountain. Aravalli mountains has its highest peak. This is the Guru Shikhar. The Guru Shikhar is the highest peak of Aravalli mountain, which is about 1722 meters high. Or Guru Shikhar is in the Mount Abu region of the Sirohi district. And this is the position of Vindhyachal mountain. The Vindhyachal mountain is starting from the southeast Rajasthan or western part of Madhya Pradesh and extended up to the Bihar. In Bihar, its extension is called the Kaimur range. And the highest peak of the Vindhyachal mountain is the Sadbhavana peak. Sadbhavana peak is the highest peak, and in to the south of Vindhyachal, this is the Satpura mountain range. Satpura is starting from the western part of Madhya Pradesh and extended up to the Chhattisgarh, and its eastern expansion is called the Maikal. I am indicating this from the M. The Maikal range in Chhattisgarh, or the highest peak of the Satpura range, this is the Dhupgarh. Dhupgarh is the highest peak, which is about 1352 meter high. So Dhupgarh is the highest peak. This question is generally asked, and here this is the position of the Chota Nagpur plateau. Chota Nagpur plateau is extended in the different subdivisions. The northern part is called the Hazaribagh Plateau or southern part is the Ranchi Plateau. Its western part is called the Partland. Partland, important question. The Partlands are the western expansion of the Chota Nagpur Plateau, and the highest peak of Chota Nagpur Plateau, this is the Parasnath. Parasnath, which is named after the 23rd Jain Tirthankar Parshvanath, and it is about 1365 meter to 1070 meters high, and it is located in the eastern part. Okay, here this is the plateau of Meghalaya, the Meghalaya plateau. It is divided into the Garo hills, in between this is the Khasi hills, or eastern part this is the Jayantiya hills. So Garo, Khasi, Jayantiya hills, and this is called the Meghalaya plateau or the plateau of the Shillong. The southern part of India is called the Deccan Plateau, which is triangular in shape, and mostly it is formed by the lava flow when the volcano erupted and it produced too much lava, and finally it was deposited in this part and converted into the Deccan Plateau. Now the coastal regions of India. Coastal regions of the India. India has the main coastal line is about 6100 kilometer. This is the length of main coastal line, and here there are the islands of Lakshadweep and islands of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. When we include the length of these islands coastal line, which is about 1416.6 kilometer, and the total coastal line of India is about 7516.6 kilometer, right? So this question is generally asked, but the main coastal line is about 6100 kilometer long. The second is the coastal region of India is divided between the 9 states. So this is the western part of India, the western coastal line, or this is the eastern part, yani eastern coastal lines. There are some technical names of these coastal region. First we will discuss the western coastal line. Western coastal line. So then the coast from the south Gujarat to Mumbai. This is the Mumbai, and this is called the Kathiawar coast. Kathiawar coast, right? So Kathiawar coast lies between the south Gujarat to Mumbai, and this is the Goa state. I am indicating this from G, Goa, and the coastal region between Mumbai and Goa, it is called the Konkan coast. Konkan coast, and the coastal line between Goa to Mangalore. Mangalore is the coastal district of Karnataka. I am indicating this from M. The coastal line between Goa and Mangalore is called the Kanara coast. Kanara coast, also called the Carnatic coast, and coastal line extended toward the south from the Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Kanyakumari, I am indicating this from K in Tamil Nadu, and this is the coastal line between Mangalore or Kanyakumari. This is called the Malabar coast. So Malabar coast mainly lies in the Kerala. Okay, so there are the 5 states in the western coastal line, and they form the 4 kinds of coastal plains. And the eastern side, from the Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu to the confluence of Krishna river. Krishna, I am indicating this from K. So then coastal region from Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu to Krishna river, Andhra Pradesh, this is called the Coromandel coast. Coromandel coast mainly lies in the Tamil Nadu, and coastal line between the Godavari river finally ended in through the Andhra Pradesh in Bay of Bengal. This is the part of Bay of Bengal, and I am indicating Godavari river from G, and coastal line between Krishna and Godavari river, which is called the Golconda coast, the Golconda coast, and coastal line from the Godavari river to Odisha, and also the Rusikulya river in Andhra Pradesh to Kangsavati river in West Bengal. So then this coastal line is defined in different ways. So mainly this coast is known as the Northern Sarkar. Northern Sarkar. Here the Sarkar means district. The Mughal emperor created a admin unit which was called the Sarkar. The Sarkar means district. So this is the physical division of India. Now the next part is the remaining part of the physical division. Now we will discuss the important Ghat region. There are the two kinds of Ghat, the Western Ghat and the Eastern Ghat, and second is the islands of India. Islands are two kinds, Lakshadweep and the Andaman Nicobar island, Andaman and Nicobar. Or last, the Thar desert. Thar desert. Through the map we will locate these physical features. Ghat are the mountains or range of hills, and Ghat have formed after the fold or subduction of the Deccan Plateau. So then this is the Western Ghat, started from the Maharashtra, ended in Tamil Nadu, and this is the Eastern Ghat, starting from Odisha and ended in Tamil Nadu, right. So Ghats are the two kinds, the Western Ghat and the Eastern Ghat. Western Ghat have important passes. The important pass which is in Maharashtra, this is the Thal Ghat. Thal Ghat, which connects Nasik to Mumbai. Also it extended from Nasik to the Kolkata. And this is the Bhor Ghat. Bhor Ghat at the south of Thal Ghat. It connects Pune to Mumbai, and again it connects to the Chennai. And this is the Pal Ghat, also called the Palakkad. Pal Ghat connects the Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. And there are some mountain range in the Western Ghat, and these are important in Tamil Nadu and Kerala region. These are the Nilgiri mountains. Nilgiri mountains indicating through N. The highest peak of Nilgiri mountain is the Doda Betta. Okay, so this is the highest mountain, the Doda Betta. Doda Betta is the highest mountain, and its height is about 2637 meters. To the south of Nilgiri hills in Tamil Nadu, again this is the Annamalai hill, and the highest peak of Annamalai hill is the Anai Mudi. Anai Mudi, and which is about 2695 meters high, and it is the highest peak of South India or the highest peak of Western Ghat, and also called the Everest of South India, right. And to the south of Annamalai, this is the Kadamam hill in Kerala, or the eastern part of these hills is called the Palni hills in Tamil Nadu. So Anaimudi presently located in the Kerala, and this is the position of Eastern Ghat. The highest peak of Eastern Ghat is the Mahendragiri. The highest peak of the Eastern Ghat is the Mahendragiri, now in Odisha. Mahendragiri, and which is about 1501 meters high. There are some other highest peak in Eastern Ghat, but they have not officially declared by the government of India. For example, there is a important mountain peak in Odisha again. This is the Devmali. Devmali peak is higher than the Mahendragiri, and the highest peak the Kattai range and the Armakonda. And there are some other hills in Tamil Nadu. This is the Jabdi Hills, also called Jabdu Hills, and the Sebro Hills in the south of Andhra Pradesh. In the next part, we will discuss the position of the islands. Islands and the islands are the two kinds. One is the Lakshadweep and another is the Andaman and Nicobar. Andaman and Nicobar. And second is the Thar Desert. Okay. Through the map, islands. This is the locations of Lakshadweep, and this is the Maldives country. Maldives country, and this is the position of Sri Lanka here, and these are the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and this is the Nicobar Islands. Okay, Andaman and the Nicobar Islands. First, the islands of Lakshadweep are formed by the coral. They are the coral islands. They are formed by the deposition of excreta of the coral, the marine livings, and the islands of Andaman Nicobar are mainly formed by the lava which was excreted by the volcanoes. The Andaman Nicobar Islands are the formed by the lava which was erupted by the volcanoes. And second, the literal meaning of Lakshadweep means a group of one lake islands, but only few are inhabited now. There are two important water channel in Lakshadweep. This is the 8-degree water channel. 8-degree water channel separate Maldives country to the Minicoy island. Minicoy also called the Maluku island, and this is the 9-degree channel which separate Minicoy to Aminidweep or Kavratti. Kavratti is the capital, and also Minicoy separate this is the Suheli Par and Kalpeni islands. Right? These questions are generally asked. And in the Andaman and Nicobar, Andaman is divided into the north, middle, south or the little Andaman. In the northern Andaman, this is the India's dormant volcano Narcondam. The Narcondam is the volcano are found in northern Andaman and this is the Barren Island. Barren Island is the India's only active volcanoes which had erupted so many times in the past. So you have to definitely learn this. India has only the one active volcanoes in the South Andaman, and the capital of Andaman Nicobar is the Port Blair. Port Blair lies in the South Andaman capital, and there is a cellular jail also called the Kala Pani cellular jail, which was built by the English government in India to penalize or imprison the Indian revolutionaries. And this is the Little Andaman, and here this is the water channel. It is called the Duncan Pass. Important question. Duncan Pass separate Little Andaman and the South Andaman. Okay. Government of India in 2018 have renamed some islands. This is the Ross Island in South Andaman. It is called the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Island, the Ross Island, and in the east of Ross Island, this is the Neil Island, which is called the Mortier Island, Sahid Island, and in the east of Neil Island, this is the Havelock Island, which is called the Swaraj Island. Okay. And in the south of Andaman, this is the Nicobar. The uppermost part of Nicobar is the Car Nicobar, CAR. Car is a language and which is spoken by the Car Nicobarese tribes. And this is the middle or the Little Nicobar, and in the south this is the Great Nicobar. We have already discussed the India's southernmost point. Indira Point is located in the Great Nicobar and this is the 10-degree water channel. The 10-degree water channel separate the Car Nicobar and the Little Andaman. Okay, this is the information about the islands. These types of questions are generally asked in the GK. Thar Desert extended in the west of Aravalli Mountain. This is the Aravalli Mountain, mainly lies in Rajasthan, and there are 13 or 14 districts covered by the Thar Desert, and geologically it is assumed that Thar Desert is a consequence of Tethys Sea. That's why it is a saline land due to the debris of the Tethys Sea. The next part is the river system. India's river system, an important topic. River system. The important river system is the first Indus river system, Indus river, also called the Sindhu Nadi. Second is the Brahmaputra river system, Brahmaputra river. Third is the Ganga river system, and the rivers of East India. This is the Damodar river, and the central India, this is the Narmada river and Tapi river. Rivers of the South India, there are so many rivers. One is the Godavari river, second is the Krishna river, and third is the Kaveri river. Okay. So through the map we will locate the important rivers of India, and India is very rich in the water resources, but we are not utilizing the river water for the socio-economic development. So this is the government's failure or the admin lack. However, government is taking so many decisions. First, the Indus river. Indus river originates outside India. It is a transboundary river. So this is the Tibet country where this is the Mansarovar Lake. Mansarovar Lake, I am indicating this from M. Indus river originates from Mansarovar Lake and first entered into India through the Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, and cross the throughout Jammu Kashmir and finally passes through the Pakistan or ended into the Arabian Sea. This is the Arabian Sea. So this is the ending point or the river empty into the Arabian Sea. The total length of Indus River is about 3120 kilometer, and some geographer assumes its length 3180 kilometer, whichever is. And the important tributaries of the Indus River are from the north side or the right side. This is the Siok River, Nubra River, Swat River, and some tributary from the Afghanistan side. This is the Afghanistan country. Some rivers originate from this side and join the Indus. Kabul River, Gomti, Gomal River and the Kurram River. From the south side or the left side, there are some tributary. This is the Jhelum River and this is the Chenab River. The Jhelum Pel connect to the Chenab, Rabi and Byas River, and this is the Satluj River. Satluj River originates from close to the Mansarovar lake from the Raksastal and join the Chenab, or Byas join the Satluj River. Satluj is the longest tributary of Indus, which is about 1450 km long, and the shortest tributary of Indus is the Vyas River. The Vyas first join the Satluj River, which Vyas River is about 470 km long. Okay, this is the Brahmaputra river system. Brahmaputra river originates again from the Mansarovar in Tibet, and in Tibet and China it is called the Yarlung Sangpo. Here the T is silent. Sangpo river in Tibet and China, and Brahmaputra enter into India through the Arunachal Pradesh, where it is called the Dehang or Devang river. Dehang river, or in Assam it is called the Lohit river or the Luit. Lohit and the Luit river, and finally cross the West Bengal and enter into the Bangladesh, or in Bangladesh it is called the Jamuna river, not Yamuna, the Jamuna river. Okay, the India's largest river island, this is the Majuli Island in Assam within the Brahmaputra river. Okay, there are some tributaries of the Brahmaputra river. So then from the left side or northern side, the Lhasa river, Lohit river, Subansiri river, Dehang river are the main tributary. From the south or the right side, this is the Teesta river, Dhansri river, Kameng river, Redak river, Sankos river, Manas river. So many tributaries are, and the length of Brahmaputra river is about 3969 kilometer. Okay, next the Ganga river. Ganga originates from the Gangotri glacier in Uttarakhand, and there are two separate rivers, Alaknanda and Bhagirathi, and both river joins at the Devprayag, and then it is called the Ganga. Before Devprayag there is no Ganga river. Okay, so after the Devprayag it is called Ganga river, and it flows from Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and finally entered into Bangladesh. In Bangladesh it is called the Padma river. Ganga is called Padma, and when Ganga joins with the Brahmaputra in Bangladesh, then joint confluence of these rivers is called the Meghna in Bangladesh. The Jamuna, Padma and Meghna river. There are some tributaries of Ganga river from the Uttarakhand. The two rivers, the Ram Ganga and Kali river joins the Ganga. Kali, Mahakali, also called the Sarda river. From the Nepal there are three rivers. This is the first Ghagra river, also called the Karnali, Gandak river, Kosi or the Saptakosi. And from the right side or south side, this is the Yamuna river, also originate from the Yamunotri, Uttarakhand, and this is the Chambal river. Chambal river joins Yamuna, and the Banas river of Rajasthan joins Chambal, and Chambal finally Yamuna. Yamuna at Allahabad joins the Ganga river, and this is a one river, the Son river, originate from the Amarkantak, joins the Ganga in Bihar, and there are so many tributaries of the Ganga river. Damodar river. Damodar river originates from the Chota Nagpur plateau. So this is the position of the Chota Nagpur plateau. The Chota Nagpur plateau extended into mainly Jharkhand and some part in Bihar state. The Damodar river originates from the Chota Nagpur plateau and flows in West Bengal. Okay. Narmada and Tapti river, rivers of the central India. So this is the central India. So this is the position of the Vindhyachal mountain range. We have already discussed. To the south of Vindhyachal, from the Amarkantak hill, this is the origin of Narmada river. The Narmada river originates from the Amarkantak in Madhya Pradesh and at the border of Chhattisgarh. Narmada river has length about 1312 km, and it is the largest westward flowing river, and ended into Gulf of Cambay or Arabian Sea. And to the south of Narmada, this is the Satpura mountain range, or to the south of Satpura range, this is the origin of Tapti river in Madhya Pradesh, and Tapti river has about 724 km length and also ended into the Gulf of Cambay or Arabian Sea, right? And the rivers of the South India, this is the Godavari river, originates in Maharashtra, Triambakeshwar, and flows different states, Maharashtra, Andhra, Telangana, and finally ended into the Bay of Bengal. This is the ending point of Godavari river. So many tributaries are the Godavari rivers. And this is the Krishna river, originates from Maharashtra, the Mahabaleshwar. This is the Mahabaleshwar, and Krishna finally ended into the Bay of Bengal. There are so many tributaries like the Tungabhadra, Doodh Ganga, Panch Ganga, Ghat Prabha, Malaprabha. Kaveri river originates from the Brahmagiri hills of Kurg district of Karnataka and flows through the Tamil Nadu and ended into the Bay of Bengal. There are so many tributaries of Kaveri rivers. Okay, and this is the part of Chhattisgarh states, and here one river, the Mahanadi, originates. The Mahanadi originates from the Chhattisgarh and flows through the Odisha and ended into the Bay of Bengal. And this is the Damodar river. These are the important rivers of the India. The next part is monsoon of India. Some important information about the mountain. First, we will understand that term monsoon means what. Second, branch of Indian monsoon. There are two branch of Indian monsoon. Third, types of monsoon. There are the two types. And fourth, the types of rainfall. And fifth, rainfall in India. There are the three kinds of rainfall in India, and lastly the distribution. Okay, so through the Indian map, here map is become too much important, and through the map scientifically we can understand all the facts or concept. First, the term monsoon. The term monsoon is a Arabic language. This is a Arabic language term, Arabic language, which is a philosophical language of Islam in India, which means a changeable pattern of the wind. There are two branch of Indian monsoon. This is the first branch, also called the branch of the Arabian Sea, Arabian Sea branch, and this is the second another branch, the Bay of Bengal branch, Bay of Bengal branch. Okay, and this is the 0° equator line passes to the south of India. In India, the Arabian Sea branch first lead the monsoon, and this is the Kerala state which receives first rainfall in India, the important question. And the Bay of Bengal branch entered into the Tripura, Meghalaya and the Assam region. Mostly the 70% rainfall in India due to the Bay of Bengal, around 30% rainfall to the Arabian Sea branch. Okay. The types of monsoon in India, there are the two kinds of monsoon in India. One is the summer monsoon, also called the southwest monsoon, summer, or second is the winter monsoon, which is also called the northeast monsoon in India. So, this is the southwest direction. Summer monsoon started during June to September, and in India the first monsoon is led by the Arabian Sea branch, and the India's monsoon mainly is known as the summer or the southwest monsoon. About 90% rainfall of country is due to the summer or the southwest monsoon. Okay. And winter monsoon, also called the northeast monsoon. So, this is the northeast direction, and through the northeast monsoon only India receives 10% rainfall. So, India's predominantly monsoon rain is called the summer or the southwest monsoon. The types of rainfall throughout the world, there are three types of rainfall. One is the convectional rainfall, and India does not receive such kinds of rainfall. There is no convectional rainfall in India because it occurs mainly in those regions are located 5° north to the equator line and 5° south to the equator line. But India is outside this latitude line. India is started from the 8° and 4 minutes. Okay. So, there is no convectional rain in India, 0. Second, the cyclonic rain. This is due to the tropical cyclones, subtropical, temperate cyclones. India receives about 10% rainfall through the cyclones originating in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, mainly from the Bay of Bengal. Third rainfall is the orographic rainfall. Orographic rainfall through the mountains, when the clouds hit against the highest peak of mountains, so these clouds occur the heavy rainfall. So, about 90% of the rainfall in India is the orographic rain. And what is the position of rainfall in India? So, there are the three patterns of rainfall in India. One is the pre-monsoon rain, and there are some local names of the pre-monsoon rain. In Assam region, the pre-monsoon rain is very harmful to the tea and the coffee plantation. That is why it is called the nor'wester. Important information. The nor'wester is a pre-monsoon rain in the Assam region, and in the south Maharashtra and the Karnataka, the pre-monsoon rain are called the tea shower. cherry blossom, tea shower, cherry blossom and the coffee shower. Okay, so this is a too healthy or useful for the plantation. And this is the monsoon rain. Monsoon rain, India receives mainly rainfall through the monsoon. And last is the retreating monsoon. Retreating monsoon, the लौटता हुआ monsoon. Monsoon pattern in India, the retreating monsoon. In India, the monsoon retreat after the September. Retreating monsoon. This is the duration of retreating September to December. And India receives some rainfall through the retreating monsoon, and mainly this is the coast of Tamil Nadu region receives the most of rainfall through the retreating monsoon. And there is the important features of retreating monsoon. At the same time, during the December and January, at the Mediterranean Sea, there is origin of the western winds, and these winds blows towards the eastern side, enter into India, and they brings rainfall which is called the westerlies, western winds. And in India, Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, western Rajasthan, western UP, it is called locally the Mawat rain. Mawat is a rainfall in winter season due to the western winds, also called the westerlies. And when the monsoon is retreating in India, so these westerly joins with the retreating monsoon, and finally they brings rainfall at the coast of Tamil Nadu. During the winter season, mainly these are the cold and dry air from the Siberia region of Russia, and they entered through the Himalaya in India, and these cold winds also join the retreating monsoon. Some of the cold winds passes through over the Bay of Bengal, and they receive some moisture from the ocean and finally fell into the Tamil Nadu coast. And in the last this is the distribution of the rainfall in India. Distribution of rainfall. Distribution of rainfall in India. In India, the highest or the maximum rainfall are recorded in the Meghalaya, and this is the important place, the Mawsyn Ram. Mawsyn Ram, earlier it was the Cherrapunji. Here the maximum rainfalls are recorded around 1100 centimeters, and the lowest rainfall are recorded in the Gujarat and the Jaisalmer districts of Rajasthan, which is about 10 centimeters. And the tendency of rainfall in India, rainfall is decreased from east to west direction, and rainfall also decreased from south to east direction. Okay, so this is the information about the rainfall. Next is important soils of India and the port. Important ports and the soils. There are around 8 types of soils in India. One is the alluvial soil. Alluvial soil. Second is the black soil. Third is the laterite soil. And 4 is the red and yellow soil. And there are around 13 major ports in India, and we will locate these ports at the map because some questions generally asked from this side. Through the Indian map, we will describe the different kinds of soils and the important ports of India. Okay. There are around 8 types soils found in India. Alluvial soils is the most fertile soil of India, not only India, throughout the world. Important information. Second, the alluvial soil has largest geographical area in India. It has extended in too much geographical area. And third, alluvial soils are formed by the river deposition. So they have deposited by the rivers, and these soils have organic matter, nutrition level too much, and there are the two kinds of alluvial soil. One is the Bangar soil and second is the Khadar alluvial. Bangar are the older alluvial soils. They are stayed away from the rivers, and Khadar are the new alluvial soil where the river annually deposits some of the debris. The black soils are formed by the lava flow which was erupted after the volcanoes, and these soils are mainly extended in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana and the Madhya Pradesh. This is the part of the black soil. Black soil is called the cotton soils too, because this is very useful, appropriate for the cotton cultivation, and it is also called the regur in the local language. Black soil has the water holding capacity too much, and when it dries it converted into the cracks, and it is too hard to cultivate in case of the when the soil is wet. Laterite soils are formed after the weathering of rocks. So these soils mainly are found in the western Ghats from the Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala and the eastern Ghats and the other parts of countries. Laterite soils are formed by the weathering or breaking of the rocks. So these soils are too poor. These soils does not have too much clay minerals and nutrition, and the water holding capacity is low of these soils, and these soils are useful for the plantation crops and are generally used for the brick making. Red and yellow soils, these soils are found in the remaining part of the South India except the black soils and other parts of the country. Red and yellow soils are formed by the breakings of the soils, and the red soils is due to the iron oxide, and when the soil becomes hydrate due to the water level it converted into the yellow, and these soils are also the poor soils and are not useful for the cultivation because the water holding capacity nutrition levels are very low. There are some other soil, the other desert soil in the Thar desert, and they are the sandy soils and the poor soils in the nutrition level. Only some crops like the millets can be produced. Mountain soils are found in the Himalaya mountain and other parts, and the peat soils, these are the poor soils. Important ports of India: seaport and river port. India has around 13 major seaport. Some questions are asked from this side, and these ports are controlled by the Port Trust Board of India, and 1963 the Port Trust was formed to regulate or manage these ports. So these are the important ports. One is here, this is the Kandla port in Gujarat, Kandla, and now it is called the Deen Dayal Port Trust. Okay, and this is the another port, the Mumbai port, and very close to the Mumbai port, this is the Jawaharlal Nehru port, Jawaharlal Nehru seaport. And one more important question, it is the India's largest seaport and it is a tax-free seaport. In Goa, this is the Mormugao seaport, Mormugao seaport. In Karnataka, this is the New Mangalore, Mangalore seaport. In Kerala, this is the Kochi seaport. Kochi is called the Queen of Arabian Sea because it lies in the Arabian Sea. And at the eastern side, this is the Chennai seaport, and here this is the V.O. Chidambaram Pillai or Kamraj port. And above the Chennai, this is the Visakhapatnam seaport, and which is the India's deepest seaport, and this is the Paradip seaport at Odisha, Paradip seaport, and this is the Kolkata seaport, and now it is called the Syama Prasad Mukherjee seaport, and it is the India's oldest seaport. It was constructed by British East India Company in the 19th century. There are India's some important seaports. Next is important river valley projects. देखिए इंडिया is some important river valley projects. India have constructed most of the projects for the power generation, fishings, irrigation and supply of drinking water. So these river valley projects are called the multi-purpose project, and the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, called these river valley projects are the temples of India. The first river valley project we will discuss, the Indus River Valley project. Indus River Valley project, we have already discussed the Indus River. This is the Indus River originates outside India from the Tibet near Mansarovar Lake, enter in India through the Ladakh region and finally come out from India and flows through the Pakistan or ended into the Arabian Sea. There are some tributaries of Indus River, which is the Jhelum River. India have constructed the Kishanganga project and the Jhelum River, okay, Kishanganga, and India have created the Wular Lake, important. This is the Wular Lake in Jammu Kashmir, Wular Lake, and it is the India's largest freshwater lake, and the lake is fed by the Jhelum River. And to the south of Jhelum, this is the Chenab River, and India have constructed Baghliyar project, Salal project, Pakuldum project at the Chenab River. At the Ravi River, India have constructed. This is the Theen Dam project. Theen Dam, also called the Ranjit River Valley project, at the Byas and Satluj river. This is the Harike barrage, from where Indira Gandhi canals, which is the lifeline of Rajasthan, have originated. The Indira Gandhi canal is originated from the Harike barrage, and Harike barrage or dam is fed by both Byas and Satluj river. At the Satluj river, this is the Bhakra dam. Bhakra and Nangal dam. Bhakra dam now in Himachal Pradesh, and this is the Nangal dam in Punjab. Jointly are called the Bhakra and Nangal. Bhakra Nangal is the India's highest dam. It is the India's highest dam built on the Satluj river. And again in Himachal Pradesh, this is the Nathpa Jhakri project. Okay. At the Narmada river, there are two important projects. Indira Sagar Reservoir, India's largest reservoir on the bank of Narmada river, and this is the Sardar Sarovar project in Gujarat on Narmada river, and one canal tributary have created for the Rajasthan from the Sardar Sarovar project. At the Godavari river, this is the Nagarjun Sagar project. Sorry, this is the Pochampad project on the Godavari river in Andhra Pradesh. And on the Krishna river, it is the Nagarjun Sagar project in Andhra Pradesh. Or on the Kaveri river, it is the India's first dam, the Grand Anicut Dam in Tamil Nadu on the Kaveri river, and this is the next, the Mettur Dam, again in Tamil Nadu on the Kaveri river. And on the Damodar river, which originates from the Chota Nagpur plateau, this is the India's first corporation, the DBC, Damodar River Valley Corporation, DBC, established in 1948. Then the DBC project, Damodar River Valley project, was modeled from the Tennessee Valley project of USA. This is the Tennessee Valley project of America, and which have copied for the Damodar River Valley project. Damodar River Valley project benefit for both Jharkhand and the West Bengal. Mahanadi River Valley project, on the Mahanadi river in Odisha, Hirakund Dam has been built by Government of India, and it is the India's largest dam. Okay, the India's largest dam is Hirakund Dam in Odisha on the Mahanadi, or India's highest dam, the Bhakra Dam in Himachal Pradesh. The next part is India's important lakes and the biosphere reserves and national parks. So there are so many important lakes in India. So we will locate the position of these lakes through the map. Only the few lakes which are very important from the point of view of exam. The India's largest freshwater lake, this is the Wular Lake in Jammu Kashmir, and you know the Wular Lake is fed by the Jhelum river. The India have made the Wular Lake on the bank of Jhelum river, and Wular Lake is considered the tectonic lake which have created through the tectonic activities, right? And this is the Chilka Lake in Odisha. Chilka Lake in Odisha, it is the India's largest saline water lake. Second, this is the Pulicat Lake. Pulicat is extended between both Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, but most of part lies in the Andhra Pradesh, and it is the India's second largest saline water lake. Next is the this is the Bembanaad Lake. Vembanad Lake in Kerala. It is the India's longest lake, and it is a lagoon lakes. And here this is the Loktak Lake in Manipur. Loktak Lake in the Manipur. These are the some important lakes of India. Concept of Biosphere Reserve. There is an international organization, IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, established in 1948, and its headquarters in Switzerland country, the capital Geneva. Under the guidelines of IUCN, India have created so many biosphere reserves. The concept of biosphere reserve mainly coordinate with the human beings, and IUCN launched the MAV program, Man and Biosphere, in 1971, under which the human population have adjusted with the wildlife and the wild animals, and India have created so many biosphere reserve. First, the India's first biosphere reserve, this is the Nilgiri, now in Tamil Nadu. India's first biosphere reserve, Nilgiri, Tamil Nadu. It was created in 1986. Okay. And this is the another biosphere reserve in the Kerala, and this is the Agast Malai. Agast Malai biosphere reserve in Kerala. In Andhra Pradesh, this is the Sesachalam biosphere reserve in Andhra Pradesh. And this is the Simlipal biosphere reserve in Odisha. Simlipal biosphere reserve in Odisha. And in Gujarat, this is the Rann of Kutch biosphere reserve. Rann of Kutch. And here in the Andaman and Nicobar Island, this is the Great Nicobar biosphere reserve. In Himachal Pradesh, this is the cold desert biosphere reserve in Himachal Pradesh. In Uttarakhand, this is the Nanda Devi also is a highest peak in India, 7,816 meters high. Nanda Devi biosphere reserve. And at the border of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, it is the Achnak Mar biosphere reserve. And in Meghalaya, in the Meghalaya region, this is the Nokrek biosphere reserve. And in the Sikkim states, this is the Kanchenjunga. Or in Arunachal Pradesh, this is the Dehang or Dibang biosphere reserve. In Assam, this is the Dibru Sakhova. And also in the interior of Madhya Pradesh, this is the Panna biosphere reserve and the Pachmadi biosphere reserve. These are the important biosphere reserve of India. So you have to learn the India's first biosphere reserve was the Nilgiri in 1986. The national park. National parks are the parks regulated under the parliamentary legislation or the parliamentary laws, where the human activities are controlled through the laws. There are some national park in India. Madhya Pradesh has the maximum national park, okay, and the India's first national park was made in Uttarakhand, and this was the Jim Corbett. Jim Corbett was the India's first national park. Earlier it was known the Haley National Park by the British government in 1936. This question is asked. Okay, India's earlier national park, highest maximum national park in the Madhya Pradesh. And there are some important national park. This is the Dachi Gram National Park in Jammu Kashmir. Dachi Gram National Park in Jammu Kashmir. Sultanpur National Park in Haryana. Sultanpur. And in Rajasthan there are some national park. This is the Kevaladev National Park in Bharatpur district. Sariska National Park in Alwar district. Ranthambore National Park in Savai Madhopur district. Mukundra Hills National Park in Kota, Bundi. And this is the Maru Desert National Park in Jaisalmer. In Gujarat, this is the Gir National Park, Ranno-Paksh National Park. In Maharashtra, this is the Sanjay Gandhi National Park, Tadoba National Park, and the Chandoli National Park. In Karnataka, so many national parks. The most one of is the Nagarhole, the Nagarhole National Park. And in Andhra Pradesh, this is the Rajiv Gandhi National Park. In Odisha, the Simlipal is also a national park. In Arunachal Pradesh, this is the Namdapha National Park, Arunachal Pradesh. In Sikkim, this is the Khagchandeja National Park. Nagaland, this is the Intangki National Park in Nagaland. And in Manipur, this is the Kibul Lamjao National Park is located within the Loktak Lake. So, it is the India's only floating national park, the Kibul Lamjao in Manipur. Assam, there are so many national parks, the Manas National Park, Murleen National Park. And this is the Valmiki National Park in the Jharkhand region. And in the West Bengal, there are so many national parks, and Uttar Pradesh has around 8 to 9 national parks. The next topic is India's important oil refineries. Important oil refinery and the position of coal mines. कोयले की खान है, coal mines and the important crops. Important crops. India is not too rich in the hydrocarbons, but India has efficiency refining the crude oil or the hydrocarbons, and it has specialty throughout the world. So India has so many refineries in public sector, private sector and the joint sector. India's first refinery was the Dibrugarh. Dibrugarh was India's first refinery, now in Assam. So this is the Dibrugarh refinery in Assam, the first refinery of India, and there are other refinery except Dibrugarh in Assam, the Numaligarh, Bongaigam, Bongaigam refineries. Okay, and this is the India's largest refinery in Gujarat, the Jamnagar. Jamnagar is under the private sector, under the Reliance company, India's largest, or sometimes called the world largest oil refineries in Gujarat. Okay, in the Punjab region It is the Bathinda refinery, now called the Guru Gobind Singh refinery. Guru Gobind Singh refinery, the Bathinda refinery in Punjab. Or in Haryana, this is the Panipat refinery. Panipat refinery. In Uttar Pradesh, this is the Mathura refinery. And in Gujarat, there are so many other refineries like the Badina refinery and Gautam Adani's refineries. Koyali refinery in Gujarat, now called the Gujarat refinery. Earlier it was not the Koyali refinery. This is the Bombay refinery. Bombay High is the India's largest oil reserve. In Goa, this is the Mormugao refinery or Mangalore refinery in Karnataka. Mangalore refinery Karnataka, or this is the Kochi refinery in Kerala. Kochi refinery. And this is the India's most important refinery, Tatipaka. The Tatipaka या Paka refinery in Andhra Pradesh. And this is next the Bina refinery. Bina refinery in the Madhya Pradesh. Okay, these are India's some important refinery. Now, what is the position of coal mines and the different industries? In India, the Jharkhand state has largest reserves of coal. The maximum coal mines are found in Jharkhand, second Odisha, and then West Bengal. And this is the Dhanbad district. Dhanbad district of Jharkhand is called coal capital of India. And there are some reserves of coal in India. The Jharia reserve in Jharkhand and the Raniganj coal mines are in the West Bengal. The British government during the 1774 they started the mining in the Raniganj and the Jharia region. And there are the 4 types of coal. The highest degree of coal is the anthracite coal. Anthracite, highest quality of coal. It means it has the maximum concentration of the carbon and low impurities or the moisture. Second is the bituminous coal. Bituminous coal used for the power generation and also called the hard coal, or the other names are locally it is called the by the different name, bituminous coal. And third is the lignite coal, also called the brown coal, and it is the lower category of the coal, and the poorest category of the coal is the peat coal. The peat is the lowest category of the coal. These are the 4 kinds of coal are found in India. Important crops. The main food grains of India is the rice. Rice is most edible crop. सबसे ज़्यादा लोग भोजन के रूप में चावल को खाते हैं. And rice है the largest geographical area under its cultivation. और चावल को सबसे ज़्यादा भौगोलिक क्षेत्रफल में उगाया जाता है. तो दिस इज द वेस्ट बंगाल, पंजाब, झारखंड, बिहार, उड़ीसा, द लार्जेस्ट यूनिट ऑफ द प्रोड्यूसिंग राइस. Wheat is the secondary food grains of India. India has different kinds of crop pattern. The Rabi crop. So Rabi crop mainly are sown during the October, November, and they are cut completely up to the March and April. Rabi crops. And second is the Kharif crop. Kharif crop are sown during the March and April, and they are completed up to the June and July. And the mixed crop between the July and August. Okay, these are the mixed crop. The India is rich in both Rabi and the Kharif crop. Thank you.